Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. A few things that might be helpful. I'm standing on a yoga mat. If you don't have one, find an area that's not too hard or slippery, something that's carpeted, or maybe you have a rug that can serve as your yoga mat for today. A couple of blocks. You could substitute thick books for that. And a folded blanket, which is as simple as the throw blanket from your couch, or a thick, big beach towel will work just fine. Although I'm barefoot, if you're more comfortable with shoes on, that's fine too. Let's start standing in our bedrock pose of mountain pose. Feet hip distance. Nice to stand facing that short edge of your mat with your feet parallel to the long edges of your mat. Stand tall but have a little buffer of bend in your knees. Turn your thumbs away from each other and your palms out and let that uplift your heart. In fact, take that a step further today. Interlace your hands behind your back. Drag your knuckles down and lift your heart up. Now, notice I didn't say throw your chin up. I said lift your heart up. And note that you are smiling your collarbones, and you're allowed to smile otherwise too, if you would like. Keep this uplift, undo our interlace, return to mountain pose, palms face out. Find your breath. And an inward versus distractedly outward turn. If you can, try to breathe in and out through your nose. If that's not happening, just awareness of breath, and even inhale to exhale. Adding some movement, inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, add a little bend to your knees for the first one, hands on your thighs. Inhale, traction your hands to find the uplift of our interlace, even though we're now in a different pose. Exhale, hinge at your hips. You'll notice I didn't say round your back. And then inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V. Pause, palms face out. We stand in our mountain. Inhale, arms reach out, thumbs to the sky, a V. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Hands can start at your thighs. Maybe you slide them down to your shins, but we keep an uplift of our heart. Our fold is a hinge at our hips, not a rounding of our back. And then inhale, uplift your heart. Exhale, hinge a little deeper. And then inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V, stand. Palms face out. Let's do the interlace once again behind our back, but switch it so your odd pinky, the one that's not usually on the bottom, finds its way to the bottom. Drag your knuckles down and your heart up. Take a note once again that I didn't say involve your neck. Let your chin stay parallel to the ground. Take this uplift feeling with us. Release your arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. We inhale, a V shape, and we exhale, fold. Hands to thighs, shins, down towards your ankles. Some people even touch the floor. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V. Stand, palms face out. One more time we do our interlace. You can decide which of your pinkies you want to have on the bottom. Lift your heart, keep your chin parallel. Remember, we're not locking into our legs, so keep a softness there as you explore a little heart opening. And then take this with us. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins, maybe your ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart. Exhale, fold, but keep that length to your spine. And then inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V. We stand in our mountain, and even though we're not doing the interlace behind our back, it stays with us like a heart-lifting imprint. Adding on. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands run down your thighs, shins, maybe ankles. Inhale, lift your heart. Now bend your knees enough that your hands get onto the ground, and we'll step back for our first down dog. So let's create a little bit of alignment here. Lift your hips up. Some of us are wider than hip distance. We'll all bend our knees. Oomph into your arms and feel the totality of both hands on your mat. So it's not as though you're on a keyboard. Let your head relax and see if you can push into your arms. Imagine a hook in your tailbone, lengthening your tailbone towards the sky, lengthening your spine so we're not rounded here either. In a way, it feels like we're doing our interlace, even though that would be impossible here behind our back. You can work your heels towards the ground, but that's not a goal necessarily. It's the length in your spine that we're really interested in. Exhale and walk yourself forward between your hands, or at least to your hands. Inhale, heart lifts, maybe hands on your shins. Exhale, keep the length in your spine as you fold. And then inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V, stand in your mountain. One more time like that. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands on your thighs, run them down your shins, maybe to your ankles. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, bend your knees, hands flat, step cautiously back, oomph into your arms, feel the hook in your tailbone, lift a long spine, almost like a back bend between your shoulder blades, and then let an exhale walk you forward to your hands. Inhale, hands to ankles, shins, thighs, we uplift our heart. Exhale, fold back in, and then inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Stand, palms face out. Adding on again. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins, maybe ankles. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, bend your knees, hands to your mat. Step to your downward facing dog. Make sure we're not rounded in our spine. Find that uplift. And then shift to plank from your down dog, up or push-up position. Let your shoulders be over your wrists. You always have the option to bring your knees down on your mat and modify your plank. What I don't want is a sagging in between our shoulder blades. So press and feel that you have filled out in between your shoulder blades. Now come to hands and knees, which might be our first opportunity to take our folded blanket and put our blanket underneath our knees for some padding. Let's take a moment, because this is really helpful for our planks that we'll do also in our sun salutes. You want to have shoulders over your wrists, and your hands, like I said in down dog, are spread wide. If there was a circle around each of your palms, those circles would be touching the ground. Now keep your hands on the ground under your shoulders and extend your left leg back behind you as if to step into a plank, but we won't do that just yet. Check and see if you've sagged. Push a little stronger into both arms, and now lift your left leg. Lift it as if it was lifting from its inseam. Come onto your right fingertips, and maybe that's enough. Or extend your right arm forward. We're still not throwing our chin forward. And let your arm and leg reach away from each other as we oomph into our arm, our left arm. Now begin to bend your left knee and carefully reach back with your right hand. You don't have to hold on to anything. If you're like me, it's very tempting to collapse into my left shoulder. Let's try not to. There is lots of strength that you're finding right now by not holding on. If you can find your foot and hold on to it, and that's interesting to you, you'll notice that that makes the back bend feel a little bit bigger, but it actually takes you out of the musculature. So there's reasons to do both. I have my right toes curled under. You can be on the top of your foot, or you can join me with your toes curled under. And then let's gently, carefully, slowly release our left leg and our right arm out in front of us. Then right hand down, left knee down. Come kneeling and just take a moment to press the backs of your hands together in case this left wrist would appreciate it. And then we'll come back to our shoulders over wrists on hands and knees. And we'll step now right leg back as if to do a plank. Let's check to make sure we've not sagged in between our shoulder blades. Come on to left fingers. Actually, let's lift our right leg first, so we do it in the same order. Lift your right leg. It's like it's lifting from its inseam. And now you can come onto your left fingertips. Maybe left arm reaches forward, and we'd like to try to imagine that our arm and our ear are aligned as opposed to a whole bunch of squishing into our neck, and push into your right arm, no collapse. Bend, your right knee, reach back with your left hand, and let's not hold on, even if you can, for a moment, just to feel that there's great benefit in finding the strength here. You always can also use something like a kitchen towel to lasso your foot if you want to. Maybe you're able to reach back and hold on to the foot. And they're just two ways to do the same thing, and they're both great. Now, without making it a slingshot, gently let go of your right foot, take your left arm forward, and then bring all four on the floor. And let's come kneeling and just press the backs of our hands again so we can release that wrist. From hands and knees, downward facing dog. So curl your toes under. Feel free to step your legs wider, keep your knees bent, your heels can be high off the ground, and it's still a really great down dog so long as we have length in our spine. Sorry, that's my dog, Tippy. Now walk forward, feet come to your hands. Inhale, hands to shins, ankles. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V, and then take a moment and stand in your mountain. Inhale, arms reach, thumbs to the sky, a V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins, maybe ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart. Bend your knees enough that you can get your hands down on your mat and step yourself into down dog. Lift your hips up. Shift towards plank. In your plank position, bring your knees down. They're a little further back than our hands and knees. And now, carefully with your belly firm, lower all the way down onto your belly. Once you're on your belly, uncurl your toes and come into Sphinx pose. So let your elbows traction towards your body and your heart lift through the gateway of your arms. Lower down, slide your hands back next to your ribs and see if you can keep that long, strong back bend of your Sphinx, maybe with your hands situated in a different place. If you prefer Sphinx, you can always do Sphinx instead of Cobra. From here, all of us will curl our toes under, come through all fours, and then to downward facing dog. Find that long spine, and I like to call this our humble bow. Walk your feet forward all the way to your hands. Your feet can be together or hip distance, it's up to you. Bring your hands to your shins, your ankles, even your thighs. Inhale, lift your heart. And exhale, increase the hinge in your hips as you fold. Inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V, and then pause. Palms turn out. Let's do our interlace here to remind ourselves of the uplift of our heart that will be true even when our belly is on the floor in a moment. One sun salutation, A, like that. Inhale, arms reach out and up, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins, maybe ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart. Hands to your mat, bend your knees as deeply as it takes to step to downward facing dog. Let your sit bones lift to the sky and then shift towards plank. Once we're shoulders over wrist, knees down, belly firm. Slowly, elbows brush your ribs as we lower all the way onto our belly. Either Cobra with your hands where they are now or Sphinx with your forearms down, but it reminds us of when we did our interlace standing at the front of our mat. And then lower down and curl your toes under, come through all fours. Hi, babe. And then down dog. Kind of appropriate right now since there is in fact a dog in our midst. Empty out, walk your feet carefully forward to your hands, feet hip distance or all the way together, hands to shins, lift your heart, inhale. Exhale, fold and in. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V, and then stand into your mountain. Adding on, take an interlace. Swap it so your unlikely pinky is on the bottom. Lift your heart and inhale. And then arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins, maybe even ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart. Bend your knees as deeply as you need to step to down dog. Now you can always just stay in down dog Or you can shift to plank, knees down, carefully lower to your belly. You can do your cobra or your sphinx pose. Curl your toes back under, come through all fours, and then to downward facing dog. Lift your left leg behind you and step your left foot through. You can always help it along if it needs it or would enjoy it. Take your hands onto your right thigh. Bend your back knee a little bit. Traction into your hands on your right thigh and come upright in this crescent shape. Arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, a V. Just to remind us to grow tall. And now take your interlace behind your back. Drag your knuckles down. Lift your heart high, not your chin, but your heart. Arms back to the sky. And then hands to our mat. Downward facing dog. Feel free to stay right here in downward facing dog or shift towards plank. Bring your knees to your mat. Carefully, elbows brush your ribs. We lower onto our belly. And then we come into either cobra or sphinx, uncurling our toes. Lower down, curl your toes under through all fours. And then to down dog, where some of our friends might be awaiting us. Lift your left leg behind you. And then step it through and feel free to help it along. Bring your hands onto your left thigh, bend your right knee, come upright, get situated. We want to feel like our left hip is drawing back and our right hip is drawing forward. Arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V to remind us to grow tall. Then interlace your hands behind your back, swap it so the unlikely pinky is the interlace one now, or the bottom one on your interlace. Drag your knuckles down, lift your heart high, and then arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V, then hands to your mat, step it simply into downward facing dog. Lift your hips like you've got that hook in your tailbone, and then slowly walk yourself forward, feet to hands. Inhale, heart lifts, hands to thighs, shins, or even ankles. Exhale, increase the hinge in your hips and keep the length in your spine. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V, and then we stand into our mountain. Step wide and let's mindfully move our props as we do so. So take your 2 tall blocks, or thick books as the case may be, and bring them to either side of the long edge of your mat. So not on your mat, because we never want to place things where we're going to trip on them. And then step wide, arms wide, thumbs to the sky. All toes facing the long edge of our mat, and a little bit of bend in our knees is a really good idea. Interlace your hands behind your back like we've been doing and uplift your heart. All back bends are simply a hinge at our hip and an elongation of our spine. This is going to remind us of that. So hinge at your hips, take your arms up and over. If this gets dizzying, you can always carefully, slowly come upright before I bring you up. Really feel the hinge at your hip and really feel the back bend in your upper back, even though I know that sounds like not something you would think of in a forward fold. It's absolutely what we want to think of in a forward fold. Now bring your hands onto your hips, firm through your belly, and come all the way upright. Triangle pose. Turn your right leg out so that it faces the short edge of your mat. Cheat your left heel back so that it's about a 45-degree angle. Arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Now, we're not doing a side bend, much like we talked about a hip hinge in our forward fold just now. We want to feel a hinge at our hip, so left hip is lifting up, and we'll reach way out and find our block, or perhaps you find your shin. If you're finding your shin, don't push on it to hyperextend your leg. Make sure there's a little bit of bend in your knee. So either hand on a block or hand carefully positioned on your shin. Feel inner upper arms spin away from each other. And then turn your left thumb down and bring your left arm behind your back. Feel an uplift of your heart in a new shape. We'll take some silent moments here. I know we've been chugging along at a clip and I've been talking a lot, so I'm going to be silent for 30 seconds here. Free your left arm up to the sky. Look down and bend your right knee. Move your block off to the side. Come upright. Turn the whole boat around. So left leg turns out, toes are facing that short edge of our mat. Right heel, 45-degree angle. We hinge at our hip, reach way out, and then we will find our block or carefully hand on shin but not pressing into hyperextension. First, our arms out stretch, and we feel inner upper arms spinning away from each other. Then turn your right palm, your right thumb down and weave that right arm behind your back. We're still not collapsed, and we've got a rotation of our left ribs to the sky and heart opening back bend in our triangle, where we will have 30 seconds of silence together again here. Now take a look down. Free your right arm up to the sky and bend your left knee. Move your prop off the side of your mat, come upright. Turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat. Heel toe, until your feet are hip distance apart and it's relatively easy to move to the front edge of your mat and stand into your mountain. Inhale, arms reach out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs or to your shins or to your ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart. Exhale, fold, bend your knees, walk back carefully into your down dog. Feel the hook in your tailbone make you long through your spine. And then shift towards plank. Bring your knees down on your mat. Elbows brush your ribs as you lower all the way to your belly. Now we did this one leg at a time when we were on our hands and knees. We'll give it a shot. Both legs at the same time, both arms at the same time. Bend your knees so that your feet face towards the sky. Reach back with both of your arms. And for now, just let your thighs stay on the ground. And imagine that you're trying to tuck your tailbone underneath you. It's not going to go anywhere because we're against the ground. Chin parallel to the ground. Heart reaches through the gateway of your arms. You might lift your thighs off your mat. If that feels like it's too much in your low back, you can do this whole thing pressing your thighs down onto the ground. And then let's release and make a pillow with our hands and windshield wiper our legs side to side, releasing anything that feels like it's particularly sore or tight in our low back. So we don't want soreness in our low back, we just want strength. We'll do that one more time. Bend your knees, reach back with your hands for your legs at the same time. Maybe lift your thighs. Perhaps like when we were on our hands and knees, you might be able to grab your feet. You could also lasso your feet with a towel or a strap if you have one. And then as we lift our legs gently, we're kicking them back for a long, strong back bend and allowing our tailbone to feel like it's tucking. So again, no soreness in our low back and chin parallel to the ground. 2 moments. I'm getting presents brought to me. Now lower down and roll over onto your back. Once you're lying on your back, reclining pigeon. So as we lie back on our back, right ankle on top of left thigh. You might take one of your blocks and put it underneath your head. Sometimes that's a very nice way to protect our neck. It could be enough stretch just like this, and you can stay here. Curl your right toes back so that you feel like there's some integrity at your ankle. Reach your right hand through the space maybe and hold your hamstring or interlace around your shin. And then let's take a couple of moments of silence in this stretch. A nice counter stretch to all our back bending. Switching sides, place both feet down on your mat. Cross your left ankle on top of your right thigh. And you can stay just like this, or reach through the space with your left hand and hold your shin or hold the hamstring on this side. And we'll get silent for a full minute on this side. Now gently release this side, place your feet on your mat. If you put a block under your head like I did, let's get rid of that. One more twist. Scoot your hips right, let your knees drop to the left. You might cross your right knee on top of your left knee. And then carefully come through center. Scoot your hips left, let your knees drop to the right. Maybe left knee crosses on top of right. And then we'll come down the middle. Step your feet as wide as your mat. Snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you. You could stay here with bent knees if you'd like. Or extend one leg and then the other leg into our final Shavasana meditation. Close, maybe cover your eyes. And let yourself completely let go. You're welcome to stay here in your final Shavasana meditation as long as you'd like. If you're ready, bend your knees, gather your knees into your chest, roll slowly to either side, and bring yourself up to any comfortable way to sit. Palms up or down on your thighs. A moment of meditation and reflection. getting still to digest what we've done so far. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me.